The Bmore Football Podcast is brought to you by Rice Law.
Hey there, welcome into this week's episode of the Bmore Football Podcast. I'm Jerry Coleman. He is the longtime Baltimore Sun columnist. It's Mike Preston. A reminder, as always, you can find us and follow us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify and YouTube. It's all at one address, Bmore Sports Pod. That is Bmore Sports Pod. We even have a how-to video we posted on our X site and all over social media. Thanks to Grant, the intern, for doing that. As always, you can watch us as well at BaltimoreSun.com. In this episode, Mike and I get into the Ravens packing up Green Bay and saving their season. We also, of course, preview the AFC North title game coming up in Pittsburgh and talk about how wide open the postseason is going to be, along with the MVP race right now based on what occurred on Monday night. Plus a pretty good report card from Professor Preston, one that would make John Harbaugh run home from his mailbox and present it right to his daddy. It was that good of a report card. But first, as always, we kick it off with For the Birds. It's brought to you by our friends at Rice Law. Hey, Baltimore football fans, if you've been hurt in a car accident, don't go at it alone. The lawyers at Rice Law know how to fight for the compensation you deserve. Protect yourself, protect your family, and remember, best advice, call Rice. To learn more, go to ricelawmd.com. That's ricelawmd.com. Well, what a week for the Ravens and you, Presto. But before we address the Ravens, let's get to that little firestorm you ignited last week. It really began on the podcast and followed up with the column, not the article that you wrote in the Baltimore Sun. What did you think of the uproar that was created with what you had to say about Lamar Jackson? And just as Santa was about to deliver the goods right there on Christmas Eve, a bomb went off in Baltimore.
Slow news day. You know, the president was in Mar-a-Lago, kind of staying out of sight, and there wasn't much else to talk about. And to the point where I didn't decide to release the article or the column until I just got to that point where, he needs to step up. He's at the crossroads here in Baltimore. He's got to get it done. It's 3-5 in the postseason. He needs to work on it. And I left open the opportunity for them to just say, hey, I'm not paying him $75 million for the next 2 years. I wouldn't pay him $75 million. Basically, what I wrote was, maybe you ought to give some of it back so you can go get some offensive linemen or some defensive linemen. But at the same time, imagine if this guy, Lamar Jackson, had Derrick Henry's work ethic. Man, he could take his game to an entire new level. But instead, you know, he just kind of does his thing, and the Ravens let him get away with it. And that's fine if that's the way you want to treat your superstar quarterback. But, hey, Jerry, I'm a columnist, all right? I don't care if they win. I don't care if they lose. My job is to be analytical and to provide commentary. And that's what I do. And nobody likes for you to take on their heroes. Oh, my gosh, he wrote these bad things about Lamar Jackson. Look, that's what I do. You know, I challenged Ray Lewis at the end of his career. I challenged Ed Reed at the end of his career. Jerry, you know, when they first got here, I'd walk in the locker room and spend 2 hours in there in the locker room. Bull crapping with guys, just shooting the breeze, because that's the way it was back then 20, 30 years ago. And I got along with them very well. And there's a reason why Jonathan Ogden comes on this podcast and Wally Williams comes on this podcast and Peter Boulware, because we still maintain that friendship and relationship. So just because I warmed up the quarterback a little bit, that's life. And no, I did not write they should trade him. I don't know where that comes from. That's a social media concept that, you know, they want to come up with. All I said was, hey, if it comes to that point where you got to say, maybe we can get 2 or 3 first-round picks for you, Lamar. Maybe he comes back to the negotiating table. I don't know, but I would use that as a ploy. So that's where we are. That's where it was. And, hey, so be it. If you want to go and read about the great news of the Ravens, go to the Ravens website. If you want commentary and good analysis, here. And if not, it's like Bruce Laird said yesterday, 50,000 people will hate you, 50,000 people will love you, but 100,000 people read you. And that's what I do.
You're right. And to follow up on that, this is not a state-run propaganda podcast. We tell it like it is. As you mentioned, we show our faces at the castle a minimum of 3 times a week. So if anyone has a problem with what they're saying, I'm sure they'll tell us or they'll text us. We have those type of connections inside the castle for the uninformed and low information fan out there, the fanboys that just want to see Lamar have, sunshine and lollipops thrown his way every day. But when you work at your own schedule, and you move training camp around to accommodate your likes and your lifestyle, and the coach bends over backwards for you, some will say, well, that's superstar treatment, but you're playing a team game.
Right. And they have to learn that. And that's the problem with the Ravens. That's on them. That's on their coaching staff to say, no, you fall in line, and if you don't. But the problem is with Lamar is when he hasn't fallen in line, he goes into withdrawal. And we've seen that before. And everybody knows this is what goes on with the Ravens. This is not new. This is not earth-shattering news. We all know this. I'm challenging him. If you really want to take your game to the next level, oh, my. I mean, because right now, he's just a great athletic talent, all right, but his preparation is lacking. But if he ever really took you to the next level, or go talk to Ray Lewis and say, how did you extend your career? Or Rod Woodson, what did you do? Or even Shannon Sharp. Oh, I ate better foods. I made sure I stayed around for 14 years. That's what you want to do because it's about maintaining and sustaining, not just all about money.
And we'll stay with Lamar in a moment, but you omitted another guy that is supposed to be on this podcast. We have it on tape, he promised.
Well, that's exciting. And, I've got a lot of respect for certainly Mike. I'm not sure as much if I have as much for you, but no, I'm just kidding, Joe. I'll always do anything for you and Mike. You guys, I appreciate the passion and the coverage that you guys have given us.
Is the general manager of the team. His name is Eric DaCosta. We'll still wait on that. But as far as Lamar, Lamar's not untouchable. I don't believe the Ravens are preparing to trade this guy. They have to do something with the salary for sure. But he stays in Florida during the offseason. We've seen him, try and only practice a few times a week. He's even come out and said he doesn't want to practice on Wednesdays. It's like 8 straight Wednesdays that this guy has not been on the practice field. How many Hall of Fame quarterbacks operate that way?
Well, he will get into the Hall of Fame because he's the best dual threat quarterback in the history of the National Football League. Yeah, Steve Young's pretty good. He has the rings. That's the difference there. But, that's the way they handle it. And, of course, we talked about it earlier in the podcast weeks ago when they said, when Lamar just basically said, I'm not playing this week. And the Ravens had okayed him, and they gave him the clearance. And then all of a sudden he says, I'm not playing. Well, what are you going to do? You go get Tyler Huntley and you let him play. Well, we'll see what happens from this point on. And maybe the guy comes back. Maybe they go to the Super Bowl. I don't know. I really don't know. And, the NFL is like the WWE. No one can predict this stuff anymore. It's just crazy, weird stuff. And the league is full of parity. And maybe that's a good thing for some people. I prefer perfection. I prefer the New England Patriots, the old Green Bay Packers, the Steelers of the 70s. I like perfection. But that's what this league is full of. And that's fine. So maybe he comes back, maybe he plays well. I don't know. And to be honest, and say it again, Jerry, I really don't care. That's not my job. My job is to provide commentary and analysis. That's what I do.
All right, one last thing about the column. It's amusing to me that people have the free time to go back and dig up stories from 10, 15 years ago that you wrote, like you said, about an Ed Reed or Ray Lewis. It's like, don't you have a day job too?
Well, apparently some people don't.
Yeah.
And I get along with Ed Reed pretty well. Ray Lewis pretty well. Did I write some bad things about those guys? Of course. That's what I do. But, in 2000, I used to go into Mike McCrary and say, Tony Baselli's going to kick your butt today. And we just kind of get all a little ticked off, and he'd get mad. And then he would go out and Baselli would abuse him, and we'd laugh about it. Because that's the way we got along. And that's the way I will continue to get along now. I'm not saying I can go in the locker room these days because, I'm old enough to be some of their grandfathers. I'm not going to go in there and hang out with these guys. But back in the time and back in the day, I know how locker rooms work. I know it's about fun. I also know they try to intimidate you. But that's all part of the game. That's all part of being a beat writer and a columnist. If you haven't gotten in a fight or an argument with a player in 30 years of covering this football team, then you're probably not doing your job very well. That's what happens.
What do you think the climate's like inside the locker room in terms of the way that Lamar operates? Someone pointed out he plays video games at night, but he wanted the television removed from the locker room, even though half the locker room or maybe 3/4 didn't even know he wanted it out of there.
It's kind of interesting. And again, I don't go in there as much as I used to. But if Lamar wanted it done, it was going to happen. I mean, that's just the way it is over there. And I get it. I understand it to a degree. But at some point, and that's what I wrote about, is he at the crossroads. What do you do with this guy? I mean, and forget about the one-loss record. It comes down to, hey, they got to make some changes by the end of the season, whether it's the head coach, the coaching staff, the quarterback. They have to make some changes to upgrade, and we'll see what happens. So you don't know, but it will be a fun offseason, Jerry. It will be interesting to watch.
Oh, indeed. The one amusing part that came out of the column is, all these people want to crucify you for going after Lamar, but then Tyler Huntley goes out and wins that game at Green Bay on Saturday night. And now there's supposedly a debate as to whether or not Tyler Huntley should start this week in Pittsburgh as opposed to Lamar if he's healthy and ready to go. That's absurd. If Lamar is healthy and ready to go, you go with the probably 3-time MVP.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That ain't even open to debate, because what he does is he gives them that extra dimension as far as being able to run, as far as being able to throw. You go back and look at Huntley's game against the Packers, a lot of safe passes, quick timing passes, stayed within probably of managing their offense. That's exactly what they wanted. That's what they needed. But he didn't throw a pass over 15 yards. I mean, it may have not been over 12 yards.
Oh.
You're not going to beat good teams in the postseason like that. So it's not close. If Lamar can play, he plays. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. And again, it's back to a coin flip. Heads, he's on the field. Tails, he's off the field, and we'll go from there.
And in my opinion, and maybe others share it, Lamar needs to shake off that title of not being a big game quarterback. This goes back to Louisville and not being able to come through in the big games, and we've seen it at the professional level too when it comes to the postseason.
Yes, and he definitely has to step up, not step back. This is to the point where now you get to the postseason, and they'll beat Pittsburgh. Steelers are terrible. But he needs to prove that he can win the big game. And yes, it goes back to Louisville. And you look at some of the things on why he was taken so late in the first round. That's one of the reasons why. All right. And people can talk about, oh, he's great and reading defenses and this. No, he's not great in reading defense. The best play is still Lamar running around, scrambling, throwing it downfield. That's what he does best. That's the way he has survived. That's the way he wins, and that's fine. But it doesn't work in the postseason. And you saw the difference between him and Tyler Huntley. Huntley threw those quick timing patterns. Lamar doesn't do that. That's not his thing. That's what you lose with Huntley compared to Lamar. But still, you want versatility. You want some flexibility, and that's what Lamar has over Tyler Huntley.
Coach Harbaugh said from day one, this is a run-first offense. It was finally on display in Green Bay the other night. I'm sure that wasn't by coincidence after Derrick Henry didn't touch the ball for the final 12 and a half minutes against New England. I mean, the guy carried the ball more times than he has, I think, in, I don't know, maybe ever, if not a long time. 36 carries for over 200 yards, 4 TDs. Amazing when you give your best ball carrier the ball at a crucial time in the game.
And not just Derrick Henry. I mean, he was phenomenal. All right. But you notice that they went into the game and they loaded up. They went to heavy packages, 2 tight ends.
A lot of Ricard.
Yeah, at one point, they even moved Ronnie Stanley from left tackle over to tight end. And I'm like, oh, yeah, they got this down. They got the jumbo package in. They're going to run the football. You're going to pound the football. That's a great thing. And that's what, and Jerry, we've been talking about that all year. They don't pass block well. They do run block well. And you went out and you got all of these big road graders to knock guys off the ball. Then let them do what they do best. And you'll see where it takes you. Maybe the Ravens found their identity in the past 2 games. They didn't do it in the game against New England. That's why they lost. But finally they said, no, we have Tyler Huntley as the quarterback. Let's load up and run this guy. Oh, my. And people keep saying, oh, he was ticked off because he fumbled in that New England game. No. He was ticked off because they didn't let him touch the ball in the final 12 minutes with an 11-point lead. Are you kidding me? He averaged 7.1 yards a carry. Give him the rock. And finally, maybe they found their identity offensively. They've done that. We'll see, but I like where they're at offensively.
And a compliment to Derek. He never pointed the finger. He has never complained. He said it was part of a rotation, which sounded silly. I mean, to think that they're rotating one of the best running backs in the NFL and Keaton Mitchell, who's serviceable, was laughable. But again, he took the high road.
Yeah, and that's Derrick Henry. He's a pro's pro. He's a good guy, works extremely hard, always comes prepared to play. And in the postseason, and if you're on the East Coast, pound the rock, run the football. He's the guy. That's what he's built for. He's 6'5", weighs 250, 260 pounds. I don't want to tackle that man in the cold. I don't want to tackle him, period.
Now, who does? All right, let's get to the defense because they still had some major miscues right there on the opening series. Kyle Hamilton and Roquan Smith were looking at each other like, who had that guy? Malik Willis, who hadn't thrown balls for 20-plus yards at all, had a couple of 20-plus yarders on that opening drive. I mean, almost threw for 300 yards against the Ravens secondary. I'm talking about the Packers' backup quarterback.
Yeah, he had pass completions, and I charted them 39, 30, 40, 34 yards. This is Malik Willis. This is a backup. And you gave up that type of stuff. And I'm telling you, you could look out there and see their secondary. And we're in the last week of the season before the final game. And they're still unorganized. You got Kyle Hamilton looking over at Roquan, and Roquan looking at Kyle Hamilton and saying, what's going on here? Nate Wiggins, I have no clue to what's going on with that guy. And the missed tackles and his playing off the ball and not attacking receivers. He has great speed and he has good recovery speed. Then why are you missing so many tackles? Why are you so far off the ball? I didn't get that. I didn't understand that. Their secondary and Marlon Humphrey on the outside. How many times have I heard, Marlon Humphrey on the outside? That's not going to work. Fortunately, Metcalf is not playing for the Steelers this week. So they get a great weapon there that's taken off the field for the Steelers. But I look forward to that one to see, hey, maybe it's time to move Marlon to safety. And that's the best way to approach it.
Yeah, I don't get it with Nate Wiggins either. The guy ran a 4.2 at the combine and seems to get beat all the time. He's got tremendous speed. With Marlon, this guy has been gifted. More interceptions. I mean, mostly with a bow and tie. The 4 interceptions he has this year are great for him. But again, Malik Willis went deep on him. Aaron Rodgers may try it again, although without DK Metcalf, it'll be a different story for sure. So next up is the annual Pittsburgh-Baltimore round 2 affair. But this one is a lot different than past regular season meetings. Never have they met before with the AFC North crown on the table. It's a de facto playoff game. Ravens didn't play well at home. They certainly owe Pittsburgh one, Mike.
Well, to me, it comes down to what does Aaron Rodgers have left in the tank? Can he pull off one more miracle? I don't think so. I watched them. They were terrible. He didn't know those receivers. Those receivers didn't know him. If Mike Tomlin can pull this win out, then he's done a great job with that team. I don't think it's going to happen, but they're missing their tight end, Darnell Washington. He's out, broken hand.
Good guys.
We don't know if Calvin Austin, the other number 2 receiver, is playing in the game. And DK Metcalf is out. And then there's TJ Watt, the outside linebacker defensive end. I mean, he's coming off of some type of lung infection or whatever.
It punctured his lung.
Yes. And, and Tomlin had said the guy has to play a week before we put him out there. I think that's going to happen. If I'm the Ravens, he comes out on the field, I'm going to run the ball right at him. I'm just going to run right at him and say, stop this. So they're in trouble. They are in big trouble. And again, to me, it always comes down with this team, the Ravens. Do you turn the ball over? How many times are you going to turn the ball over and give the team another chance, another opportunity to score? And if they don't, I don't see the Steelers winning this game. But we'll see. It's at Pittsburgh. They got those little orange, yellow handkerchiefs.
We call it stained towels. Yes.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but I don't see them winning.
As far as the game goes, though, there's this theory out there that the losing head coach may be losing his job. And I say, hold back. Even if someone like Tomlin or Harbaugh, one of these guys is going to win the game, they go into the playoffs and there's a stinker game in the playoffs and they get blown out at home because the winner of this game will have a home playoff game. Who knows? I say all bets are off. But what about the future of either of these coaches riding on this game or season's outcome?
Don't we see that every year? Every year they play.
It appears that way, yeah. Well, these are the 2 longest tenured, so we've been talking about it longer than that one, yeah.
We write the same stories every year. Oh, is this the last game? Is he out of here? Both teams like continuity. That's why Mike Tomlin's been in Pittsburgh for 18 years, because the Rooneys like him. They like what he does. And then you remember Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, who said, I want to emulate the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mm-hmm. So John Harbaugh's been around 17 years. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't speak for that. But to break up that continuity, they might force John to make some changes in his coaching staff. And I would agree with some of those. But if he stayed around and Mike Tomlin stayed around, I would not be shocked. I would not be surprised. And they are very good at doing what they do. And remember this, they both have won Super Bowls, and that's what it's all about. It's winning in the National Football League. And then some people were trying to say that the column I wrote on Lamar, they try to get into the cultural thing. And I'm like, it's not about culture. It's about winning. You win, people show up. You lose, they don't show up. That's the bottom line in the NFL. It's all about green, all right? It's about money. That's what it's about.
W's and money, yes.
Yep.
They go hand in hand.
More of the Bmore Football Podcast right after this.
At Rice Law, we've won millions for our injury clients, taken on the biggest insurance companies, and fought in the toughest courtrooms, and made it clear, strong lawyers win strong cases. But none of that matters today. The only case that matters is yours, your fight, your future. And we're ready to go to battle for you. We don't rest on past victories. We fight every case like it's our only one. Because at Rice Law, the most important victory is the one we win for you.
Rice Law. Best advice, call Rice.
Shake Shack is an amazingly fun urban dining experience, so treat yourself this holiday season with some all-time Shake Shack favorites. From the Shack Burger and crinkle-cut fries to those unbelievably delicious hand-spun shakes, or try some of the limited-time menu items throughout the year. Stop by Shake Shack's newest location at the Festival at Wood Home Shops in Pikesville. See you there. Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu, located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week, only at Relief Shop.
For the last 25 years, Wood Home Insurance has been Baltimore's premier independent home, auto, and business insurance broker, representing over 30 carriers. For example, need an auto quote? Wood Home shops them all. Geico, Progressive, Travelers, AAA, Safeco, and Selective, and sends you back the best rates possible. I have personally been a client for over 2 decades, and they are world-class in service. Wood Home's owner, Rich Gottlieb, is happy to schedule a Zoom appointment with you at your convenience. Oh, and Rich is a longtime Ravens season ticket holder, so when at the game, let him know where you're tailgating. He'll drop by and say hello. So for all your needs, needs. It's Wood Home Insurance, 410-580-2800 or woodhomeinsurance.com.
Meet the newest member of the Jack Daniels family, Jack Daniels Tennessee Blackberry. Jack Daniels takes pride in Old Number 7 being the backbone of all our flavors, and Jack Daniels Blackberry is no exception. A combination of our proprietary black liqueur and Jack Daniels' unique and unmistakable character, Jack Blackberry is a highly versatile juxtaposition of flavor. Delightfully sweet, bold, vibrant, and refreshing, Jack Blackberry is easily enjoyed with your favorite mixer, in a cocktail, or while enjoying your next football game. Jack Daniels Tennessee Blackberry is here, and as always, Jack Daniels reminds you to drink responsibly. For years, we were told to say no, but Verano is rewriting that story with award-winning flower, vapes, edibles, concentrates, and topicals for every kind of vibe. Shop smart with Savvy, treat yourself with Encore chocolates, relax with an Avexia bath soak, or keep it light with Bits gummies. Want something premium? Grab Essence pre-rolls or a Reserve 8th. Verano makes premium cannabis for all. Find out for yourself. Head to one of our original sponsors, Relief Shop in Baltimore on Cathedral Avenue, and mention Bmore Verano for an exclusive deal. That's Bmore Verano. This ad and products are intended for legal consumers 21 and over. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time.
All right, and we move along here to Baltimore and Beyond, which is sponsored by Relief Shop, Baltimore's best adult use and medical cannabis dispensary with 700 plus unique menu items and home delivery available always for medical patients, are right there in the heart of Charm City on Cathedral Street. So as we mentioned, we're heading into the final week of the season. Week 18 is ahead, and to say the postseason MVP race is wide open, that would be an understatement. But first, let's get to the postseason. It's a fuzzy playoff picture, to say the least, Presto. As you wrote, the NFL's mediocre. The defending Super Bowl champion Eagles have struggled on the field and internally. The AFC champion Chiefs are already eliminated. The Bills are perennial chokers, going for 2 at home. Texans got a great defense, but I don't buy their offense. Listen, the Seahawks, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Rams, they were considered top teams. But we'll see what seed LA gets. And San Francisco's been up and down. They could end up hosting the darn big game. But then again, nobody in the AFC North scares anyone. So I would just say, who do you got?
Well, the AFC North is a joke. I still love Mahomes. I think he's the guy. They just had a bad year. They had a lot of problems on their offensive line. And he couldn't carry the team. But look at all these new quarterbacks. I got a list here. Bo Nix in Denver, Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville, Justin Herbert with the Chargers, Drake May with the Patriots, CJ Stroud, Texans. That's a lot of new upcoming faces. Can they win it? We'll see. But it's a wide open race. I mean, I like the Texans because they play defense. Defense travels. And you can get after the quarterback, and you can do it with your front four. And CJ Stroud is just good enough to get it done and win, and he certainly did it the last time he played the Ravens. But we'll see. There are no super teams out here. And the good thing for the Ravens, if they get in, and they will get in, they get a game here. They'll win that one probably. I'm not sure because their record at home is been dismal all season. But I still think they're there, and you never know what happens. And if Lamar Jackson comes back and plays, well, it could happen. I'm not sure it will, but anybody could win this thing, and especially in the AFC.
Yeah, there's 3 13-3 teams going right now. Now, one of those teams won a playoff game this decade, so we'll see if they can get it done this decade. As far as the MVP race, I thought it was Matthew Stafford's already wrapped up, and then came Monday night against the Falcons. And listen, we know that Lamar should have won the MVP last year, went to Josh Allen, but it's now between the youngster Drake May of the Patriots and the Rams' Matthew Stafford, at least in my opinion. Some people think that Trevor Lawrence still has a shot, but rather rough outing for Stafford on Monday Night Football with the 3 interceptions, the pick 6, in the same week that Drake May threw 5 TD passes, albeit against the Jets. So Do you have a favorite between those two?
I don't know, man, but I tell you what, he can throw the rock, and especially inside the red zone. And that's very tough for a quarterback. He's in his second year, but to be able to put it in spots, to be in position and throw balls where only your receivers catch it, you usually don't see that in your second, third-year quarterbacks. I mean, Lamar Jackson, when he first got here, he had problems making those reads and putting the ball in the proper spots. And this guy's already done that. I mean, he's got a good quarterback coach, and he's got Mike Vrabel, who's a very good head coach as far as fundamentals. Stafford, I don't know, man. You watch him do some things for a guy who's got a little age on him, and he can move and get around in the pocket. That's pretty unbelievable stuff. But I think when you look at his overall record from a year ago to what he's done now, I think he's the guy.
Yeah. They have one thing in common. They both came to Baltimore and won a football game that we watched in person. May, though, the argument against him is the Patriots didn't play a tough schedule this year. But Stafford's 37. You mentioned he's a veteran. Also, we had heard all these rumors that he was suffering from a back injury coming into this season. So I think I would side with May, too, but who knows how the voters think.
Well, the thing is you play the schedule you're supposed to play. What did they win, 3 games last year? And then all of a sudden, no, they're supposed to play a light schedule. That's the way the salary cap and the scheduling has designed this thing. So that's why you have parity. So, no, they're not supposed to play a tough schedule. They're supposed to play the guys who are in front of them, who the NFL puts in alignment with them. So, no, that guy can throw, man. I don't care what anybody says. Whether he does it inside the red zone or in the middle of the field, he's very good, and his delivery is excellent. He's the real deal. And he's going to be tough for the Ravens and anybody else in the AFC to deal with for a couple of years.
And I did finally want to address the Hall of Fame voting. We have discovered that Marshall Yanda and Terrell Suggs are among the 15 finalists for the second time around. Is this a year either or both get in the night before the Super Bowl, Mike, in your opinion?
That would be interesting. I think Suggs will get in before Yanda because he has the numbers. I mean, was the rookie of the year defensively. He has over 100 sacks, the telling number. And I think was he the MVP, defensive MVP 1 year?
He was.
So you've got all of those things going. He'll get in before Yanda because it's hard for offensive linemen to get in. Unless you're Jonathan Ogden and you just dominate everybody at the left tackle. But he'll get in eventually. I don't know if it's this year, but it's a run on names. I mean, if you're in there for 2-3 years, then you get to year 3, year 4, year 5, and they say, okay, now we let them in. Well, it depends on who's in front of them, but eventually both will get in because both of them were very good players here with Baltimore.
Agreed. Just don't know if it'll be this February or a following February.
Right.
More of the Bmore Football Podcast right after this.
At Rice Law, we've won millions for our injury clients, taken on the biggest insurance companies, and fought in the toughest courtrooms, and made it clear, strong lawyers win strong cases. But none of that matters today. The only case that matters is yours, your fight, your future. And we're ready to go to battle for you. We don't rest on past victories. We fight every case like it's our only one. Because at Rice Law, the most important victory is the one we win for you.
Rice Law. Best advice, call Rice.
Shake Shack is an amazingly fun urban dining experience, so treat yourself this holiday season with some all-time Shake Shack favorites. From the Shack Burger and crinkle-cut fries to those unbelievably delicious hand-spun shakes, or try some of the limited-time menu items throughout the year. Stop by Shake Shack's newest location at the Festival at Wood Home Shops in Pikesville. See you there.
Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week, only at Relief Shop.
For the last 25 years, Wood Home Insurance has been Baltimore's premier independent home, auto, and business insurance broker, representing over 30 carriers. For example, need an auto quote? Wood Home shops them all. Geico, Progressive, Travelers, AAA, Safeco, and Selective, and sends you back the best rates possible. I have personally been a client for over 2 decades, and they are world-class in service. Wood Home's owner, Rich Gottlieb, is happy to schedule a Zoom appointment with you at your convenience. Oh, and Rich is a longtime Ravens season ticket holder, so when at the game, let him know where you're tailgating. He'll drop by and say hello. So for all your needs, it's Wood Home Insurance, 410-580-2800 or woodhomeinsurance.com.
Meet the newest member of the Jack Daniels family, Jack Daniels Tennessee Blackberry. Jack Daniels takes pride in Old Number 7 being the backbone of all our flavors, and Jack Daniels Blackberry is no exception. A combination of our proprietary black liqueur and Jack Daniels' unique and unmistakable character, Jack Blackberry is a highly versatile juxtaposition of flavor. Delightfully sweet, bold, vibrant, and refreshing, Jack Blackberry is easily enjoyed with your favorite mixer, in a cocktail, or while enjoying your next football game. Jack Daniels Tennessee Blackberry is here, and as always, Jack Daniels reminds you to drink responsibly. For years, we were told to say no, but Verano is rewriting that story with award-winning flower, vapes, edibles, concentrates, and topicals for every kind of vibe. Shop smart with Savvy, treat yourself with Encore chocolates, relax with an Avexia bath soak, or keep it light with Bits gummies. Want something premium? Grab Essence pre-rolls or a Reserve 8th. Verano makes premium cannabis for all. Find out for yourself. Head to one of our original sponsors, Relief Shop in Baltimore on Cathedral Avenue, and mention Bmore Verano for an exclusive deal. That's Bmore Verano. This ad and products are intended for legal consumers 21 and over. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time.
All right, folks, it's time for the portion of the podcast we've all been waiting for, and that's Mike Preston's report card. Let's review the grades, and let's begin with the man with the best teeth on the team. It's quarterback Tyler Huntley.
Huntley, 16 of 20, and I gave him a B. 16 of 20 for 107 yards and 1 touchdown. And people say, he didn't throw for a lot of yards. He didn't do this and do that. He managed the game. That's what backup quarterbacks do. And I kept telling people he had a week to prepare for this game. All right, so he's going to be better than he was when he comes in off the bench against the Patriots. And he did exactly that. I like the way he controlled the game. I like the way he managed the game. I still want to see more throws a little deeper and back these guys off the line of scrimmage. But against Green Bay, he was effective. He got a B.
Well, and I believe, and someone will fact check this if I'm wrong, of course, I believe the last starting quarterback to go in and win at Pittsburgh was Tyler Huntley, not Lamar Jackson. But again, if I'm wrong, someone will correct me.
I'm pretty sure they will. I know how it goes in this business.
We got a million helpers out there. All right. Yeah. How about the running backs, Mike? What grade did they receive?
Oh, I got to give them an A. I mean, Derrick Henry, 36 carries, 216 yards, 4 touchdowns. But more importantly, watch the fullback, Patrick Ricard, in this game. Oh, he was KOing people. And you go back and you look how he started the season. He wasn't very good when he got on the field. But then now he's starting to pick it up a little bit. Again, did they find their identity? I don't know. But I like what I saw. They definitely get an A.
Best game of the year for the offensive line, I would presume. So I can't wait to hear the grade for the O-line.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 307 yards of rushing, 414 yards of total offense. I gave them a B+. I mean, you go back and you look at this game, they did a lot of things well, especially those 2 guards that I picked on all year. Voorhees and Falele, I picked on those guys, even Lindenbaum. But they did what they had to do. That's who they are. They're road graders. They're big guys. I gave them a B+.
Receiver core, how did they fare?
They weren't great, but I don't care. You don't have to be great. You just need to be complimentary. And that's what they were. Zay Flowers, 4 catches for 30 yards. Mark Andrews, 4 catches for 28 yards. The first catch he had of the game where they come out and they throw, that's huge for this team because they needed to get Tyler Huntley in a rhythm. They did. The blocking was very good. And that's what you need. And John Harbaugh went out of his way to compliment the receivers after the game. You better. you better compliment them because they're not catching a lot of passes. Oh, you go back to Bateman, he was great. You say Flowers was great. Yeah, you better say the right things, John. But I gave them a C+.
You're right. You want to upset a wide receiver, tell them how great of a blocker they are.
Yeah.
How about the defensive line? They made was Josh Jacobs there on Saturday night because they turned him invisible into a ghost, it seems.
Well, the thing about the defensive line, I mean, they gave up 79 yards on 17 carries, but 9 of them and 60 yards were to Willis.
Yeah.
They held their own in the middle. They could not run the football, and they stopped after a while. It's like, well, we're not going to get this done. Just throw the ball. And then Willis went out. Now, Jerry, explain that one to me where Willis goes out for 5 or 6 minutes. And I'm looking at that and like, well, he didn't get hit. And they said, oh, well, he injured his shoulder the week before. Then he comes out running like Willis Reed in the 1971 championship game against the Bullets.
That was
and
a good line by the announcer when he said,
yeah, this is great. I didn't understand that one, but they did what they had to do. John Jenkins, CJ Okoye, they held the middle. So I gave them a B- because I think the pass rush needs to improve. And the linebackers. I thought Trent Simpson played a good game. I mean, for a guy who they stepped up and said he wasn't a starter, and then all of a sudden he's playing weak side linebacker, but he's more of it in a go fetch type role. Back to what he was doing in Clemson. Not playing pass defense. That's what he does. He goes and gets after the quarterback. Hit 7 tackles in that game. I think Roquan Smith played well against the run, but there's something going on with their linebackers. Like they don't know what they're doing in coverage. And I have a problem with that. You didn't see a lot of pressure. I think they had 2 sacks in that game, 2 quarterback hits. That could get done against Green Bay and their backup quarterback. That's not going to work against quality quarterbacks. And again, you have to beat quality quarterbacks because that's what you're going to face in the postseason. So I gave them a C-. The secondary.
That was the weakest link.
They weren't very good. Oh, my goodness. 18 of 21 for Willis, 288 yards. And I already talked about the long passes he gave up. There were times in that game where they were looking at each other again. And this is the last week of the regular season.
Right.
All right. Why are you staring at each other like, you're supposed to have this guy? No, you're supposed to have this guy. Somebody cover the right guys. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, he gives up that long pass over the middle, maybe a touchdown pass. And he's looking at Roquan like, hey, Roquan, you're supposed to be over there. Roquan's looking back at him like, nah, man, that's your guy. How about Marlon Humphrey? And then I think it was Wiggins when those touchdown runs by Willis around the corner. You're the cornerback. You can't give up outside leverage on those running plays. And yet he gets around the corner, darts in, and I'm like, they know this guy was a runner. That's what he does best. That's one of the best things he does. Then you have to stay outside and maintain the leverage. They didn't do it. I gave them a D. And I have no regrets about that one. They're still the Achilles heel of this team. Which is not good, but they just don't cover sometimes. They're lost.
And that has to frighten you as a Ravens fan, knowing you're going to face the best quarterbacks in the playoffs if you make it.
Well, here's the thing. This is what they need to discover, which Brian Billick did in 2000 when he transitioned over to the dark side, started running the football. Run the ball, okay? It keeps your defense off the field. You control time of possession. That's major for any football team, but that's really major for the Ravens because they're lost in coverages. The special teams, their kickoff units were excellent. I mean, I think they averaged like 21.5 yards per kickoff. That's pretty good. Tom Loop, who's a rookie, 22 and 34-yard field goals. You know the Ravens are winning when Jordan Stout comes out and kicks. He has one punt. That was 42 yards of punt, and he didn't even have to warm up. You know, it's just like, what am I doing here? They get an A. Coaching.
Somebody woke up the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, and I agreed what they did, you know, offensive wise. I like what they did with Huntley. I liked what they did with the running game. They just pounded the football. But defensively, I'm still kind of like, what's going on with this guy? I mean, and people keep saying, well, what's up with Chuck Pagano? He's the secondary coach. I put some of the emphasis on him too. What are you doing back there? You see him every day in practice. Do you go up to Zach Orr and say, we need to make changes? We need to do this? I don't know. Special teams, I thought did well, but overall, I gave them a B-.
Yeah. Well, all right. There you have the grades from Professor Preston. We have this enormous primetime game ahead. I know you're looking forward to going to Pittsburgh. It's always a fun drive there. A lot more fun after a win. But, well, we'll see how this plays out. Again, it was going to be Pittsburgh and Baltimore all along. We said that during the first episode of this podcast. You can eliminate the teams from Ohio.
It's the WWE at its best. Man, you couldn't have written a better script. And it's the last game of the NFL regular season. Sunday night, national TV audience. Man, we knew this was going to happen. We picked this a long time ago.
Yep.
It's here.
Game 272, and I think we're both on the same page. We believe the Ravens are going to win this.
Yes, I don't see it. It depends on what does Aaron Rodgers have left in the tank. Not much.
All right. Thanks to everyone who paid attention and lasted this long, including the sponsors, the fine folks at Shake Shack in Pikesville. In fact, if you're listening right now and you can show us evidence that you subscribe to this podcast, you can send us a picture on any of our social media platforms. Let's give away a gift card to Shake Shack, the new one, right there in Pikesville, or you can use it anywhere in the country. Thanks for watching or listening to this latest episode. We are back next Tuesday after the Pittsburgh game. Until then, be kind, be real, and make sure to be back. It's another edition just ahead of the Bmore Football Podcast.
The Bmore Football Podcast is brought to you by Rice Law.